Okay, today we are going to be taking this Grizzly Peak Industries axe scabbard and doing some modifications to it so that it is not so noisy. Because once you slide that axe in there, it is noisy. Those are not the sounds of nature you want to be hearing when you're walking through the woods wearing this thing. So, yeah, you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm knocking this thing. The construction of this is absolutely dynamite. Beautifully, you know, shaped and bent aluminum. It's very light. It's hardly like you're wearing it at all. Riveted belt loop here. It's rock solid construction. This thing is going to last forever. If not forever, a very, very long time. And just by doing a quick modification here, we're going to take something that's a great product and make it even better. And it's not hard to do and shouldn't take very long at all. So what we're going to do is take this piece of leather here and we're going to epoxy it to the inside. And then we're going to take these two rare earth magnets here and epoxy them to the back. You see they don't stick to this, so we're working with a non-ferrous metal. It's aluminum. And we're going to epoxy these to the back so that when you slide the axe into it, the axe will slide into the leather, and then the front of the bit will be attracted by the magnets, and it's going to hold this thing in there pretty securely as long as all my guesstimates have worked. And we're going to have an even better tool than we had before. So let's get started on that. I had this scrap of leather here, and I figured I'm just going to take it, shove it down in there, and then kind of probably take some pieces of wood and press those in there so that it clamps to the sides, and we'll just kind of do a press fit and let that sit overnight with the epoxy, and it should work out well. And then the magnets, I'll figure out the location I want those in, and then I'll mark those, and we'll epoxy these on, and then I got a metal ruler. I'll just get a stick down in there, and it'll attract the magnets, and the magnets will be kind of self-clamping. And we'll let that sit overnight, and then I'll test it tomorrow. So, just to kind of run through what we're working here and show you my proof of concept. Take the leather, and I'm just wrapping it around the axe here. I'm going to slide it in. And it's already a lot quieter, but it still moves around quite a bit. So, take these magnets here. You can hear that bit of the axe there locked into it already. So, now, look at that. The axe still moves around, but not nearly as much, and it's a heck of a lot quieter than it was. And so once we get those magnets epoxied, those aren't going to move around and really even lock in that axe just a bit more. So I think that's going to work out. That's going to make me super happy with the product. I'm already happy with the product, but just going to take it to the next level. And when you're out in the woods, you kind of want to hear the woods and hear what's around you. Then want to know if something's coming or if someone's there. And generally, you don't want to be the first one heard, or the first animal heard. So this will just kind of keep the peace, if you ask me. So let's get started. Fine tune our magnet placement here. Just gonna kind of look down in there and see. Don't know if you can see. Not too good at the lighting. Just need to see about where my magnets are. Trace around them with a Sharpie so I know where to put them on the next time around. if I pull the axe out, the magnets will come with it. Snap together. So this opening here at the bottom, I'm assuming is to let debris out. And it's a great idea. You know, that's the last thing you want, is this thing to get chock full of debris. So what I'm going to do is, when I stuff this leather down in there, it's going to be partially blocking that opening, you know, once it's fully dried and cured. If it becomes an issue, I can just use this opening here as a scribe and trim that leather, and we'll be back to normal. But for the time being, I'm just going to leave it partially blocking. I can't imagine that these smaller openings aren't big enough, but you know, we'll find out through use and testing, and we can always modify it from there. So we got a lot of attachments to make. In order to do that, I'm going to be using some good old JB Weld 5-minute epoxy. Just had it on hand, and I really like using epoxy. It's a lot more durable. Oh, sometimes the caps are hard to get open. Let me go grab some pliers. I am popular today. I am going to turn my phone on silent and finish this up. So I got my pliers here so I can break the bond here on this cap. It's amazing what a little leverage will do for you. And we're off into the races. Okay. Got myself a little board here so I can do the mixing on. I'm going to put on some nice nitrile gloves. Not a fan of latex gloves. I like nitrile gloves. They usually come without powder in them, and I find that they're a little bit more durable. And also, I don't have a latex allergy, but if you did, you would like them as well. So, just keep the epoxy off my hands. If you're wanting to work with epoxy, most of the ones that I've ever worked with are disgustingly smelly, and this is no different. So some of the things you need to know about working with epoxy is you got to mix it, unless it comes with a self-mixing applicator. It stinks, so you want to do it in a well-ventilated area, and make sure you really understand what the working time is here. We have 5 minutes of working time, so once I get this mixed, I get the hardener and the resin mixed, we don't have much time, and kind of got to be on the ball. Got to know what you're doing, have a plan, and execute that plan. Using one of my old kitchen knives. Anytime the wife wants to get rid of a kitchen knife, or one gets banged up too much that can't be saved, or just time for replacement, I always bring them out to the shop here, and I find countless things to use them for, and they're really invaluable. So you can see this one here looks like it's had a run-in with some asphalt, because I think I used it to open some bags of asphalt. So the first thing that I'm going to do is epoxy the leather and get it stuffed in here. So I'm just going to hit the sides of it with some epoxy. Oops, got the back of it with some epoxy. That's not good. Didn't want to do that. Should buff. We'll be fine. Spread it around. Not going to do the whole thing. Want some epoxy left over for the magnets. And in my pre-testing, I found out that 2 scrap pieces of 1/2 inch plywood and this little stick here is everything I need to make sure that this epoxy cures correctly. Okay, so I'm just going to take these and wrap that leather around here. Hold it. This is why the gloves come in handy. Holding this on here. Otherwise, I'd have to be holding that with the epoxy on my fingers, and I'll tell you what, I just don't want to do that. Okay. Got the stick in the wrong spot. I'll add it later. And start sliding that in there. Kind of pulling it apart as I slide this in. And push it all the way down. Actually going to pull up a little bit and tuck some epoxy on the bottom there. And now I can press it all the way down. I'll have a good bond there at the bottom. Okay. So now you can see this wood is kind of secure in there. It's mostly secure at the front. So I'm going to slide the stick down the back. That's really going to lock it in and give us what we need. Okay. So now remember, we don't got much time. Wipe this epoxy off here. Wipe it off my gloves real quick so I don't get it everywhere. Old t-shirts make great rags. Old t-shirts make great rags. Cut them up. Alright. So now, just going to put a couple dabs of epoxy right in those circles. I know exactly where my magnets need to be. This epoxy's strong stuff, so you don't need a whole bunch. I think it was 5,000 pounds it could hold, or 5,000 psi was the strength of it. So it's pretty strong. It's pretty durable. Just kind of get it spread around nice, and so you get a good bond everywhere. Okay, that should do it. Now the hard part, getting these magnets apart. They are strong suckers. So, take my metal adjustable ruler here. I'm going to get these magnets set in the right spot. So you can see that I'm wanting to walk a little bit. Let me move this way. Adjust the camera here, try and get a better angle. Okay, so the magnets have kind of walked a little bit from where I want them. So I kind of gotta adjust that magnet back a little bit. Get it where I want it. And once I have it where I want it should stay. It's essentially self-clamping. Alright. I got it where I want it. Both of those are right in there around the circle. So I'm just going to take the rag here and gently wipe any of the excess away. Kind of got some around there that I don't need. Okay. So my one concern with this is that I'm kind of concerned that the dropping the accent might peel the leather back slowly and gradually. Not too concerned about that, but it's on my mind. We'll see how it goes, and If we got to re-epoxy that leather in there later, we will. But the other concern I have is these two magnets being on the back, they're going to be rubbing up against my back, and I don't think that they're ever going to, pop off, but we'll find out. I feel like those being on the back of this and being up against my body, it's probably actually going to protect them a little bit more than anything. But we'll find out. So the set time on this epoxy is 5 minutes. The cure time is an hour. It's pretty late tonight, so I'm just going to let it cure all night long, and we'll get into it tomorrow and see how everything has turned out. But if you have a Grizzly Peak Industries X Scabbard and you're looking to make it less noisy, you'll find out at the end of this video if this will work for you. Also, if you're in the market for some way to carry your axe, I would highly suggest this, and with a couple minutes of your time and a couple dollar magnets and a free piece of leather and hopefully some epoxy you already got, you took a nice tool and made it even better. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll see what we got. Thanks a bunch. Okay, so here we are, next day. Took the plywood, my little wood spacer out, took the middle ruler off, and you can see we got a little piece of leather in there. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see in there. It's kind of a dark cavity, but we're looking good. The leather's down in there. Magnets on the back, firmly attached. Those are not going anywhere, and I am no longer worried about that. So let's give it just a little baseline test here. Nothing out in the field, so it's nothing too permanent, but that axe slides in there and it is firm. Listen to that, how much quieter that is. And then the side to side, it still moves a little bit, but it is certainly much firmer in there than it was. Not nearly as noisy. You'll be able to enjoy the sounds of nature with that. So I'll get to using that some more, and we'll figure that out. So that's the end of this one, and as I use it and get some actual real life testing into it, I'll touch base with you guys in a couple weeks, couple months, and let you know how I think of the Scabbard and then the upgrades made to it. All right, have a good one. The Provider out.